Hello, everyone, and I am back once again, and this is going to be my Halloween schedule and Halloween set of reviews. So basically, it's just a whole month of just Halloween related figure reviews and stuff like that. Is there going to be another movie review similar to like my Halloween 2018 video review, which I will put it up on screen? I don't know. I'll be really honest with you. Movie reviews, I haven't quite got down. I mean, I do watch, other movie reviewers like 3C Films, Cody Leach, those guys are the greats for me, in my opinion. But I don't really watch, I don't, make reviews because not toy reviews, but movie reviews, as it's just more complicated to me, and it's just so much work than even just a simple toy review. If toy reviews take me about 20 minutes or so, depending on how long the video is, then I think maybe a movie review will take me about an hour or something. I don't know. Last time I did it, I fully recapped the movie, and that felt more like a movie recap than anything. But yeah. Anyway, side tangent, aside. Yes, this is the review on the Marvel Legends Venom Let There Be Carnage. And yes, this is from the new movie. Well, movie from 3 years ago. Anyways, here's the figure right here. Now, before we get started, here is the box. This is the new Marvel Legends style box. It's not something, on the lines of a pretty piece of garbage as something like this, where it's just a windowless box. It's not the cool, type of box that you would kind of want, like those normal ones. I'll put one on an example on screen right here. But it is, however, a new style box. It's more square and stuff like that, and I'm okay with it. It's a little bland, but I'm okay with it. It's still a little, hard to adjust to. But I think for, this figure and how tall he is, yeah, 100%. Anyways, here's the box. It says there, Venom, Let There Be Carnage, Marvel's Carnage. Let me just check something real quick. Okay, we're good. Sorry, I had to check the battery on my iPad. But anyways, on the side, we do get a nice image of Carnage right there. And, oh my lord, it's just really good. Although I feel like that's just more of, I think it was just, actual just digital art from the movie. On the other side, I think it's some more tendrils. And on the back is just the poster with some legalese, nothing really. Nothing like the Retro Kingpin, where it's a whole, read up. But there we go. And there is a barcode UPC. Take it right there. Okay. Now, for the figure. So, before we move on to the figure, I have to go over a little bit of a history with this guy. Originally, when I was during the release of Venom 2, I actually did want a new Carnage. The one I had was the old Monster Venom one, and he was really small. Meanwhile, if you remember the movie, Carnage was really, really tall. And, I will do a comparison soon, but here's a photo on screen. I did actually get the select version, which was one of my favorites, or even one of my favorite figures of all time. It was such a cool figure. It had some, really, really nice things, and it was just very well sculpted, very well detailed, and in my opinion was such a huge upgrade compared to Venom. And I'm really, really glad that I got that figure, because it kind of costs a lot now. But that was 3 years ago. Fast forward to this year, where Hasbro announced this figure on, I think it was May or something. And I'll admit, I was a little shocked. I thought they were gonna do it for until, I don't know, 2030 or something. Given how long they were doing for Venom, it took them about 2 years. For Carnage, it took them almost 3 years. But I gotta say, at the time it was very hyped up. But also a little bit underwhelming for two things. One, because customizers, I'll show a picture again on screen. we're doing a custom Carnage based off the Marvel Legends Eternals. I think it was the Marvel Legends Eternals Crow figure. I forgot, but they got that figure and they were able to customize it into movie Carnage and stuff like that, and it scaled well with Venom. I'll show a picture again up here. This is by Jacoby. It's by Jacoby something. I forgot I can't remember the YouTuber's name off the top of my head, but he did do a custom on it, and I will give him a shout out because of that. But another thing that was disappointing too is the fact that he's, as we all saw, he's very unpainted at the back. So yeah, of course, to kind of speed things up a little bit with this recap, I did actually get this figure on the 1st of July, opened it around my birthday, and I gotta say, is this figure worth it, especially after 3 years since the movie's release? Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, starting off with the painting and the sculpting. Alright, now, for the painting and the sculpting, I think the painting is, well, start off with the sculpting first, that's more of its pros. I think the sculpting is very good. You know, I was thinking it would just be, like, similar to Venom, but considering Carnage was very tall in the movie and very different, I like the fact they went with a new sculpt, you know? But there comes a problem, and that's the paint. And as you saw at the quick 360, you can tell this figure feels a little bit half-baked. There is towards at least the back. Now, let's start off with the head sculpt first, because that's, I feel like, the main draw for me besides just the front. I think the head sculpt on this figure is actually really stellar. It's very nicely well done. You know, I really love the teeth, but I really just love the overall sculpt of his, like, his sinister smile. I love how they did his eyes. I love the innards and the side parts of his mouth. But I wish there was a little bit more of this paint on his entire head than just the black. Moving, of course, to his arms, I really like the spiky and tendril detail, but I really like it still has that muscle detail showing. I just, however, don't like, again, the lack of black paint, other than just a few at the front, a few at the back, and, like, maybe one mainly on his thumb. I wish it was carried out throughout the whole figure, similar to the SH Figure Arts, which I will show you right here. And same can be said with the other arm. And also, a little bit of a warning, yes, this figure kind of hurts to hold on to, because or somewhat, because as much as these are rubbery, I don't know. They just don't, it kind of, you know, somewhat hurts. But at least it's not like the Super 7 Destroyer that is literally be giving me, like, full-on scratches on my hands. But I, again, really love the detail. There's gaps in his hands. Lot of paint, but, well, a lot of sculpting, but very much lacking in paint. And it's all a shame, because look at the torso. A lot of black is used, and it looks very nice. Very beautiful indeed. But again, once we move it to the side, it's awful. It's kind of missing. Moving on to the back, it's missing. You know, moving on to the thighs, and it's weird too. There's more paint on the thighs than on the calves, or hell, even on the feet, or even the back. But yeah, the thighs are really good. They have a lot of muscular detail, and it looks really good. I'm surprised that Carnage even has this physique. But yeah, it looks really good. Just look at that. Very nicely done, dude. And look at the feet. They're a lot more sharp, a lot more spiky, and very different than that of Venom's, which were flat out humanoid. Is saying that's a bad thing? No, I really like the fact he has some different type of feet. I really love how well sculpted they are, and I just really love the detail of the muscles and everything with it. And I think what mainly gets to me is just the thighs. They just look really, really well sculpted. It's just, again, a shame. I don't like how the paint is done. It just looks half-baked. It's unfinished. Feels a little bit... I wouldn't say it's like a prototype, but it just feels undercooked, you know? And I'm going to put another figure up on screen here, because right here, why do I have this Batman figure up on screen? The DC Multiverse Batman vs. Superman Batman. Well, that figure had a similar problem too, and I'll show even photos from my figure. And this is not just my copy, this is from all the copies, that everything from the front is nicely painted, right? But everything from the back is just so unpainted, and it looks so unfinished, and it's so disappointing, especially for that price point. Same with this figure. This is like, what, $50, $40 USD, and it's like, why? Why is it so unpainted? You know, for a figure of that price, maybe it should have a little bit more effort. I don't know. But all in all, I think the sculpt really saves it, this figure. I think what really gets to me is just, again, the head and the overall upper body and the thighs. But it's just a shame everything else is kind of limited. You could argue it's more accurate to the movie, but I highly doubt it. You know, I really highly doubt it has that, it's this pale. At least there was some, you know, blacks and some black coloring there. But anyway, now moving on to his accessories, and I'm just going to bring them out on screen here. Start off with let's go small and then go big. First of all, his head, his alternate head, very nicely well done, although I'm not used to Carnage with a tongue, but that's more the problem with the movie, which I'm going to just say it right here. Another side tangent. I don't think the movie was that bad. I actually like Venom 2 more than Venom 1. It was more entertaining for me. But, yeah. I love the paint. I love a little bit of the paint here. But it maybe, you know, fix this. I don't know. Fix this part. This just looks really ugly. At least this, you could just see the seam lines, and it's kind of sad. Also, I'm not a fan of the squinting eyes. It's just not for me. It just looks weird. The normal Venom figure didn't have it, so why does this one have it? Moving on to the hands, and we also have this giant blade axe weapon. Again, very nicely detailed on the front and on the back too. Although I wished for me it was a little bit longer, like in this shot right here. It's longer. But, I mean, then again, Carnage kind of makes his own weapons, so it makes sense. But, I don't know. This just looks a little bit weird. And then, of course, I'll do swapping of the hands and stuff like that. And then, of course, we have his other hand, meant specifically for his left, and it's very good. I find it funny. It forms from his middle finger, but again, it's just, what is this? How did you put so much effort at the front, or somewhat, and then just nope? It's just red licorice. I will say I like the sculpting on the lines there on the finger between the ring and the pinky finger, but it just, look, as you could see on camera right there, but it's not really highlighted well if it's just full-on red plastic. Now, if you want to swap out the heads and the hands, they're pretty easy. You know, standard Marvel Legends stuff. You pop out the head, and then you pop. Right there, he's roaring. If you want to swap out the wrist, you simply, for some of these hands, just simply swap it out like that. However, I feel like, unlike this giant sword hand, this one, you can't really switch here, otherwise it'll look really weird. So, I'm going to go off camera for a bit. Actually, I got it. Then, boom. Very nicely well done. And it really gives a lot of character. But what does give a lot of character, and I will admit this is one of the figure's biggest strong points, also some of its weakest points, these tendrils. And these things are long. These things are freakishly long. I don't know how long exactly, but they're long. For comparison, here's Kingpin compared compared to just one of these tendrils. This be looking like Vita Carnage, low-key. Or just straight up like, just, you know, red licorice. And again, they're very well sculpted. Although, I'm going to nitpick again. I don't like the fact there's not enough black paint and not a lot of this type of detail where it's just veiny and goopy. I don't see that a lot. Just see a lot of gaps. And also, I feel like this is made out of a different type of plastic. And yes, there is articulation on this, on just the double ones with a swivel on each. But I really wish that even the spikier ones here had that too. Hell, I wish that all of them had a swivel. But yeah, they're different shapes. We have 2 claws, very nicely detailed. And then we have one little spike thing. And then one that looks like just a random blunt object. I don't know how Carnage is supposed to use this, but I guess it's like this. But yeah, it's very nicely sculpted. But again, wish there was some more paint highlights. And I also wish it was just casted in the same plastic. And then we have this, which is very nice. I wish there were just all single tendrils just because of this. And yeah, it's very good, very nicely sculpted, and it's even under the same coat of plastic. But I wish it was also on a swivel too. I will say, and this is more of a great quality thing, I love the articulation of this. They're not too like flimsy, they're not too stiff. They're on a very nice bendy wire that's easy and malleable compared to, let's say, the Doc Ock figure from Marvel Legends. Don't get me wrong, I like that figure, but this is really good. Now, to simply attach this, as you saw on the back, there are some peg holes, and you simply just basically just put them in, you know, in whichever order you want them to. You want to go biggest to smallest? I don't know, and it all just doesn't matter. It just matters. It doesn't really matter how, you know, how you put them. It just matters on, you know, what do you want to do with it? Use your imagination. However, I do feel like you do need to put at least a little bit of, you know, at least a little bit of caution, because I have a feeling these could snap. As of mine currently, they're able to snap in just fine. But yeah, look at that. You can get, that is straight up the coolest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, maybe take them with a hairdryer, or maybe, you know, boil some water, you know, dip it onto the figure, and then, and then just, boom, pop it in. And then, for good measure, because my OCD is killing me, there we go. Oh, Lord. Just seeing this again is just so cool. However, I do feel like the figure gets a little... Oh, never mind. Not on camera. Then again, they're really light. They're not heavy compared to Doc Ock. And unlike Doc Ock, Carnage is not, like, supported on his by his tendrils compared to the Doc Ock figure, where he's just straight up supported by his tentacles. So, yeah, that's a fair argument on why he's standing up so fine and dandy. Also, I don't think they're that long compared to Carnage, but I could be wrong. But yeah, our accessories is plentiful. Granted, it's not as much, you know, maybe more weapon accessories, but for the price, it's really good. Minor nitpicks aside, you could get some really good poses. And speaking of which, let's talk about articulation. Alright, now, this figure's articulation. Articulation-wise, it's actually really good. Yes, there's a few flaws, but... And even though it has the same engineering as Venom, it oddly feels better than Venom. I don't know why, but... Anyways, starting off with the head, there is a double ball joint rather than disc hinge. So he can go all the way around. He can look up pretty decently more than Venom, and he can look down really, really far, and it looks actually really cold and cool like that. He can tilt his head from side to side, and of course go all the way around. You can do this too. Now this is cool. I feel like there should be more articulation with it. He can swivel his arm all the way around. They're on like a somewhat ratchet joint. It can go in and out. There is a bicep swivel here, a double jointed elbow, which this is more just me being an idiot. Please, loosen your figures. Also, let me know if there's another way than to how to loosen your figures besides just using WD-40. I know there's like maybe dish soap, but I don't know if that worked. Last time it worked on Kong, his plastic might have broke him or loosened, but I don't know. It weakened, that's all I know. But anyways, yeah, double jointed elbows, hinge jointed wrists, and a swivel. And a diaphragm joint that doesn't feel as strong as Venom's. Because he can't really look too much down or he can arc a lot back, but I don't know. The diaphragm joint feels like it should move more. He can bend down with the ab crunch, and that's good. And because of the sculpt, it kind of makes it a lot better. Weirdly enough, the ab crunch could go a lot more bend down forward, but can't bend back as much, requiring the diaphragm joint for it. His thighs and legs are very good. He can kick up this far. He can kick back a pretty decent amount, actually. And he can do full Carnage spreads. Like that. Sorry, I accidentally stopped the recording, but anyway, moving forward, he has a thigh swivel. He has a double jointed knee, not elbow, and he has an ankle pivot that works pretty nice. So posability, while sure, it shares the same engineering as Venom and has a few disappointments, it also has a few upsides, including the head. And that does not stop the articulation because he's just so good. Hell, this is one of the few times I might even do some photos, but I might do something similar to another YouTuber who just posts some of the photos on just YouTube. So yeah, look at this. It looks magnificent. Coupled with the accessories, it's a pretty good package. Now let's move on to size, and oh no, I forgot a ruler, unfortunately, again. Oh well. Okay, so I don't have the ruler again, so for reference, here is one of the tendrils, I'd say, for reference. He's actually a pretty tall figure, and I'll show you right here with these comparisons. Here he is compared to the retro black suit Spider-Man and the retro Kingpin. Here he is compared to the No Way Home 3-pack. And remember the 2002 game where he fought Carnage? Yeah. I really hope that Carnage at least fights Spider-Man. At least in Secret Wars, but I don't know. Sony needs to get those licenses, the license for Spider-Man just removed. But anyways. And finally, here he is compared to movie Venom and the Marvel Select Carnage. And I actually didn't know this. Marvel Select Carnage is actually kind of smaller than the movie Carnage. But yeah, obviously compared to Venom, Venom is just absolutely dwarfed by that Carnage. So anyways, final thoughts. So, overall, is this figure worth buying? Yeah, I would 100% say so. Of course, there's like the retro figure, and of course, Absolute Carnage is released. And yeah, while those are good options, I feel like, for the price paid, there's a lot offered here, with the tendrils, the size, the sculpting. It's very good. Yeah, there's a few flaws. I feel like the articulation, there could have been some butterfly joints, and I really wish there was some, at least maybe some new, more paint, and maybe a little bit more weapons. But honestly, for what you get, it's actually not that bad. And I forgot to mention, it's pinless too. Compared to the Venom figure here, or even their reissue / repaint, that being the Venom Let There Be Carnage Venom figure, where that figure is just a lazy repaint without anything new. At least with that figure, it's just a flat out lazy excuse. Yeah, it has different paint, and Carnage fell down. Yeah, it has different paint and stuff, and yeah, it has the new Venom stuff, but honestly, that doesn't make it for me it's worth its purchase when Carnage just comes with a lot more stuff. But yeah, otherwise, just overall, yeah, I suggest you get it, you know. I would suggest maybe get it once it's on sale, but it's definitely worth the full price. And it's definitely one of the better Carnage figures out there, as the retro carded, you know, Target exclusive or Toys R Us exclusive or GameStop exclusive, whatever you want to call it, is an exclusive, and it costs a lot now. And this might be one of the best options until Hasbro probably makes a new mold or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what's up with Hasbro, with the Marvel Legends team. But yeah, overall, I give him a solid, 8 out of 10. I know I've been giving a lot of high ratings, but these figures are just so good, good, and I really like what Hasbro's doing with most of their figures, their Marvel Legends figures now, but of course, I gotta at least mention some of the flaws. So 8 out of 10 seems like a pretty decent and a very reasonable rating. Until then, yep. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. And I'll see you guys next time on the next review, which I think will actually be on the NECA Feral Predator, which I wanted to do for a long time. So here we go. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.